Good evening, Sahana. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I would just like to tell a brief introduction about you. I, Sahana Shetty, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, AIML and Cybersecurity. I would like to take an immense pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day. So before I start, I just want to give a small quote. Success always comes when preparation meets opportunities. So with this quote, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Mr. Deepraj S. So Mr. Deepraj S is a CXO advisor at MarTech. He has excellent knowledge and works in the area of AIML, data science, and digital transformation. He's always one among those who enjoy the challenges of high energy and dynamic workspace. So he has completed his post-graduation from Texas McCobb's School of Business, PG Diploma in Innovation and Design Thinking in Emeritus, MBA in Marketing. Mr. Deepraj has over 9+ years of experience, which includes Buzzword as Vice President, Senior Director in Partner Success in Splash for about 7 years, Senior Manager for Corporate Sales, Hindustan Times for 1 year, and 9 years of experience in Infomedia 18 Limited. Mr. Deepraj will be delivering the session on intelligence for sales and marketing through machine learning. So over to you.
All right. Can you guys see me?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. So, guys, it's great to be here today. And before we begin, yes, I've got about 9 years of experience working in the AI/ML industry, and I'm here to, um, share my experience, and maybe with that, help you guys start off with your career at a very good trajectory, right? So talking to young ones like you who are eager to learn and implement their learning to make a difference in the real world is what excites me. And when I look back at my business school days, when I would look forward to this kind of industry sessions all week, um, today, a lot of those sessions actually has helped out in helping me, perform, overperform, make choices, etc. So, without wasting much time on myself, I would like to pull up some material that I put together for you guys, and feel free to ask questions and interrupt me while I'm doing so. I'll try my best to wrap it up in the next 40 minutes, 50 minutes that we have. All right. With that, let's try and share my screen. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. So today I'm going to talk to you about intelligence for sales and marketing, right? So the AI implementation and applications are immense, right? Every industry today has some or the other form of implementation, and it's so vast that it'll take hours and hours, days to go through all of them. We don't need to do that. Today we'll focus on sales and marketing functions, more so from a B2B kind of a perspective, but feel free to ask questions around B2C as well if you need be, right? I'll try to keep this session short and crisp in order to avoid confusing you guys, because uh, you know a lot of theory is learned in the class, but when it comes to going out, looking out for jobs, or maybe starting your own company organization, um, it is key that you are able to connect the business component of it, right? uh, the real life, the real world application of what you have learned. If you're able to do that, you have it in you. If not, it becomes a lot of struggle, right? So as I said, I'll keep it crisp and straightforward, but feel free to ask questions if you need to. I'll try not to confuse you. Okay. uh, Before I begin, what is this talk about? It's about understanding business, understanding the application of ML in the specific functions of sales and marketing, and understanding challenges that these functions face, and we'll dwell into the solutions as well. I'll also showcase a couple of real life use cases on how we implemented ML or machine learning, as you say, to come up with a lot of efficiency and effectivity in terms of what the business expects, right? Saving of time, saving of cost, or earning money for that matter. What is this talk not about? I'll not get into the math. I'll not get into the theory. I think you guys have already learned it or will learn about it. I'll also not get into the cost benefit analysis of use cases per se. And last but not the least, I'll not get into the moral and ethical dimensions of applications, moral and ethical dimensions of data. When it comes to ML, and you guys might have already heard about it, right? Data, personal data, it has become a big cause of concern, abuse of it, but we'll not get into that in this session. So let's begin. When we talk about business, when we talk about the real world out there, and if I try to implement a machine learning based business module, here is how it would look like. If you see on the extreme right, you have business understanding to begin with. That is the starting point. So the key for everything that we do is the business component of it. Let me dwell a little bit deeper without, again, making it too theoretical. Let us understand what is need, right? I'm hungry. That's the need. I need food because I'm hungry. And if I get food, I am satisfied. I am happy. Now it doesn't matter whether the food is just rice, boiled rice, or whether you're getting fried rice or biryani. When you're hungry, you need food, right? And that need and the fulfillment of need is a transaction, right? Of course, you can go and cultivate rice and eat it throughout the year, right? You can survive. But then everything cannot be produced, manufactured by you. So you go in and source people who can give it to you. It can either be a barter or you can buy. That's where a transaction takes place. Now in here on this slide, you see one seller, one buyer, and one product. Let's say it's a plate of fried rice, right? Beyond a transaction, look at how this little concept of need, the fact that I was hungry, the fact that I was thirsty, the fact that I needed shelter, converts into a business. You have a seller, you have a buyer. The seller has multiple products to offer. Like today, you go to the electronic superstore and you have LG that gives you a TV, an AC, a fridge, and blah blah blah, right? And for each product, there are different buyer personas. Somebody wants an AC, somebody wants a fridge, somebody wants a TV, right? Now that's B2C. And when it comes to B2B business, let's talk about Tata Motors, right? They're manufacturing vehicles. But to manufacture a completely built vehicle, they might need to source different parts, maybe from some of the OEM guys or from their own factories spread globally. Which means that organization is going to purchase multiple products across multiple departments. And that is what is illustrated out here, right? So one seller, one buyer, but there are many products and product need. Let's expand it a little more. Look at this now. There was one buyer, one seller, and now there are multiple buyers. And as an industry, there are multiple sellers, and this can become as big as possible, right? You can have hundreds and thousands of sellers, hundreds and thousands of buyers. And that is how the industry shapes up. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because the key component is, where does the value come from? Why would somebody get into this? What need are we going to fulfill? What problem are we going to solve? So essentially, when you look at business and we talk about something called as the business module, It is how a company plans to make money, right? Of course, with its product and targeting a specific audience. At the core, the question that comes up or is answered is what product and service I can sell. I can go and build a beautiful data model for, let's say, the healthcare industry. The question is, the $1,000,000 question is, it works. Yes, it works. Does it have a certain level of accuracy that is desired? It does. But do you have sufficient takers for it, consumers for it? If not, that great outcome is going to fail. Maybe not immediately, but in the short or the mid to long term, it will fail. And there are hundreds of examples of innovations that came up and then it fizzled out. Right? A very common case is your DVD versus the Blu-ray. Innovation, yes, but did the Blu-rays pick up like the DVDs? No, they did not. Of course, this is like about a decade old kind of a thing, but the fact remains that the question is, will it sell? The next question that comes up is, how does the business intend to market that product or service? Now we're talking about marketing, sales, and stuff. What kind of money will go into it? What kind of expense will it face? And after doing all this, how does it expect to earn some profit? With that, having said that, where does AI ML come into play? Today, it comes into play in every aspect of the business, right from manufacturing, production, be it software, be it hardware, be it goods, services. AI and ML is slowly entering every aspect of the organization. So some of the most common questions are thrown up out here. I would like to point out 4 of them. How effective are our current marketing initiatives? What are the specific products the customer will buy based on past behavior? What opportunities exist for us to expand? Because you see, every industry is finite. Every customer base is finite. How do you expand? How do you move from A to B? Right? What signals a customer attrition? How do I fight churn? Can I detect churn before it happens? Well before it happens, so that I can address the problem and save that customer. Because remember, getting a customer is 10 times more expensive than retaining a customer. So like in the last few slides, I spoke about what is need, what is value, how do we get that value out so that somebody is willing to pay money for what you have bought out, through all that you have learned and set up. You might start your own organization, or you might be a part of an organization where you're trying to pitch your AI ML concepts, theories, modules with the promise of efficiency, effectivity, speed, but you have to sell it to them. Either you are the senior management or you are pitching it to the senior management. You have to sell. They have to buy it from you. Whether they buy or not depends on how well you have actually packaged it, not just as a AI ML concept, but also as a solution, as a value. So without wasting much time on the business part of it, let us jump into the marketing and sales function. So out here, you saw that you have got 9 different components in a business value, one of which is cost, revenue, number 2 and 3 is customer. And when these comes into play, organizations have a marketing plan, a process to implement the plan, right? And this is a standard, one of the standard kinds, more or less, it's those 7 components of marketing, and it would render something like this. I have marked key components here: target audience, budget, spend, and monitoring it. And when I put that plan into action and try to sell stuff, we have something what is called as a funnel. Like, why it is called a funnel? Because it looks like a funnel, right? If you recollect what happens at home in your kitchen, your mom uses a funnel, right? To put things in. And why is it a funnel? Because when we start off at the top, the target addressable market is huge. And as we start filtering it based on interest, consideration, pricing, etc., it starts narrowing down. So be it marketing or sales, normally it's, there are two approaches to it. One is a direct sales approach, where you start from the top here and end up getting some closures, sign up, subscriptions. The other is where the marketing sits on top. So the first level comes here, it enters, and then it goes out and then falls into the sales funnel. It can also enter somewhere in the middle, depending on how the organization has structured the funnel. Understanding this is key, because this is where we will get into identifying the problems and trying to solve it through ML. Right? And for the sake of keeping it crisp, I've just focused on B2B for now. And as I, for the sake of repeating, do feel free to ask questions if you have any. I'll try to answer them, even if it is for B2C, right? So here are the funnels. And then the next question is, you have the funnel, you've got a lot of these intelligent people working on it, and it has been happening for so many years. Why are we talking about intelligence today? And I think this is something you might have already heard, right? Why is this sudden burst? Two reasons, right? One, today we have the computing ability to ingest and process data, huge data, big data. About 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have that kind of capacity. It was not general, right? Two, we also have sufficient data points. With the advent of database management system and then the relationship data management system, things have evolved. So today we have the structure, both in terms of quantity and the architecture, to go and build a model around it, right? Over the last few years, it has also been very much proven that it is going to help, not just in terms of saving money, but also making life easier, faster, efficient, and easier. With that, let us dwell a little bit into what happens in this funnel, right? So there are leads, there are prospects, right? You might have experienced this, right? When your parents or even you guys might have been inundated with SMSs and calls and people, when you go to the malls, where they talk to you, they interact with you, right? You might be watching Netflix or something, and then after some time, when you are doing some research, you are bombarded with Netflix banners. For some strange reason, you give your laptop to your younger brother, younger sister, and then after a while you got it back, and you start getting bombarded with advertisement for games, right? Or maybe some clothes or some toys and stuff like that, right? That is where intelligence has come in, right? And so, moving away from the toys and the games and stuff like that, in as a buyer today, we are all informed buyers. We do not just blindly go and buy things. We do our bit of research, we do a little bit of understanding, your friend circle, Google, and all those things that you've learned all contribute to this increased consumer awareness and buying behavior. The same is everywhere, right? Today's B2B buyers don't want to be sold to. The buying journey isn't linear, and the buyer has so many choices. Today, we have reached a stage where it's not about, I have got a special feature. Be it for any product, it's not about I've got a special feature. It is about who helps and enables me to make the most suited buying decision. And that's why the statement here is sellers must enable buyers to complete the buying jobs. What is the current state when you look at what is happening in the current world? Here is a survey by Salesforce, which is by and far the largest. Salesforce has around 60 to 70% of the global market, which is hundreds and thousands of businesses. Look at what the top 3 indicate. Lot of data, too little actionable insights. I'm not able to achieve my numbers, be it marketing or sales. Inaccuracy and redundancy. Lot of data has come in, but it's not really accurate. It's either not available or it's outdated. The third,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Sir, I think your slides are not changing. I'm only able to see the first slide.
So really? Everybody?
Yes, sir, now it's changing.
Oh my God.
Sir, I think it. Can you revise once from the first slide? Means just in 2 minutes.
Sure. Oh my God. So you guys are stuck here. What here?
Here only, sir.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Let's see. So I spoke about what talk is about and not. AI, ML and business. Okay, quickly. So here is where I was talking about why you need to understand business, right? The business understanding is key because that defines what value your AI, ML is going to give. Then I went into trying to explain what value is, right? You need something, you got it, you're satisfied, but not everything comes free of cost. Most of these things are a transaction. You buy, you sell, right? And the buying selling business can be complicated, especially when we get into more and more out of our homes, out of our personal circle. It becomes much and much complicated, and that's how you have got so many industries, verticals, all these things happening all around you, right? So if you visualize it, there's one buyer, multiple sellers, hundreds of sellers, and there are hundreds of sellers and hundreds of buyers, right? And when this buying selling model takes up a formal structure, it is sort of defined through a business model. A business model is an outline of how company plans to make money, right? Everybody wants to make money, right? You want to make money, I want to make money. But that making of money is attached to value. Like we as, future employees or we contribute our competency, skill to the organization, help the organization grow, and in turn get money. Similarly, a business will add value to society, and that value determines how much money will you get, and that value also determines whether you survive or die as an organization. So where does AI ML fit here? It fits as of today, and according to me, in every section, every part of the organization, and every node of the organization has multiple problems that can be solved. And here are a few questions that normally come up around profitability, around detecting the right prospect, the right customer, detecting the lifetime value of the customer, detecting where and how to expand, why to expand, and last but not the least, how do I define my customer, right? Looking at one aspect, one core function of any organization, which is marketing, you have sales that is a subset of marketing. So we are talking about marketing and sales today. Here is how a typical marketing planning process looks like, right from the mission statement to monitoring. Like in our ML, when we talk about monitoring, we say I need to monitor and get continuous feedback to improve my model, right? Which is universal. Everybody, you, me, everybody, forget ML, you, me, everybody improve on feedback. We have to learn, we get feedback, we learn from it, and we improve. So that's the same thing applied here in this process as well. A critical part of the process, the marketing planning process, is sales, right? Now, sales can happen with direct on-field salespeople, or it can happen through marketing. Like, remember the form you fill up, right? At times you went somewhere, you filled up a form, and then somebody starts calling you, and you say, boss, I'm not interested. In spite of that, he'll keep calling you 100 times, right? So that is what happens here in this marketing funnel. And the other is the sales guy who keeps on pestering you. Sir, le lo, sir, le lo, sir, le lo, right? So jokes apart, you have two critical parts in this marketing planning process, which is the marketing funnel and the sales funnel. And this is where we will look how ML impacts. Why ML is important here, how it impacts, and what is the future according to me, right? So I think we were here, why intelligence, and let me go into full screen and let me know if you guys can see this. Can you guys see this? Why intelligence? Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you see me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you can see slides.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
All right, wonderful. So why intelligence? And we will focus on B2B. Why intelligence? And what is B2B buying and selling? As I explained, B2B buying and selling is business to business. Tata Motors is trying to buy stuff for its production process, right? That's one example. Or let's say LG, who is into producing of so many electronics, will source parts for it, will source applications from software companies, will source logistics, etc., from other companies, housekeeping, etc. These are B2B, right? Business to business. So what is the current state of B2B buying journey? Today, buyers don't want to be sold to. Buying journey isn't linear. The buyer has so many choices, and there is little to distinguish from the various choices he has. And so there is no option but for the seller to enable the buyer in completing the job. Now, if I just leave it at, you know what, I'm the best, I'm the biggest, buy it, buyers don't go with that today. So enablement is a must.
Sir, we only see why intelligence, sir.
Again, there's a problem. Okay, let's do this. Is it visible?
Now it is, sir. It's in current state.
Okay. Is it a little better now? I'll stick to this screen now. Okay, can you read?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let us stick to this then. There we go, right? So current state, here is a little survey from Salesforce. This is not really outdated, 2020, which is like, just before COVID. So, and things have not changed much, right? Lot of data, too little actionable insights. So I think the key thing, and you might have heard it from a lot of your professors and senior people, data on its own has little value. They're numbers. Unless and until you get insights out of it, unless and until you're able to interpret what it means, it has no value. It is just eating up your space, either on your system or on the servers. So the key component, and as you see, 60 to 70% of the respondents are talking about it. The next, the other critical point here is inaccuracy and redundancy. There can be multiple reasons, but when it comes to the end user, right, these sales guys, marketing guys, the data is inaccurate. Imagine when you're talking to a customer, you're talking about something which is not relevant to him, not related to him. You're talking to, let's say, Tata Motors about Amul ghee, right? And he's like, why are you talking to me about Amul ghee? Right? I don't produce ghee. Why are you telling me about ghee? Right? That's an example. The second is redundancy, right? If you talk to customers or if you talk to people about things which are like outdated, like, I spoke to you guys about DVD and Blu-ray, and you guys might be thinking, maybe that's something. That's redundancy. We are in an era where terabytes of data is available in a chip, right? Redundancy. And third, delay. I want the data when I'm interacting with the customer, when I'm engaging the customer, not a minute after that. Because anything that comes after that has no value, right? A little more into it. I just spoke to you guys about this, right? And I spoke about this because the other day my kid took my device, and I got it after about the whole day, end of the day, and I suddenly had this people targeting me with games, Roblox and Call of Duty and this and that, and I was a little troubled. Why is this happening? And then of course I realized that this guy, this son of mine, was actually googling through or going through a lot of these things, and he has left his footprints, and these guys are now targeting me, right? So you might have experienced that as well. Like, here is a good example. This is a well-known storefront in the US, and if you did search for fitness or something, boom, you suddenly start seeing these panels here and there. Buy this, buy that, all to do with fitness. Or if you're using if you're a Instagram person and you're watching reels, or you're watching some videos here and there, uh, you are being tracked, and that tracking leads to targeting, and you start seeing relevant stuff. Nowadays, with all these the voice enabled applications, uh, it apparently also picks up what you talk at home, and based on your discussions, they start targeting you with stuff, right? I don't know, I don't have hardcore evidence for that, but I did of course hear about it. So personalization, yes, and personalization can actually creep into your private lives, like I mentioned, right? So what is the current state? The current state is there's a lot of data, there is a lot of scope to build insights of the data, but that is not really being put into practice today. Here is a little data. Again, this is by Gartner, and Gartner says 63% of digital marketing leaders still struggle with personalization. They're struggling with personalization, but only 17% use AI and ML. Right? This would give you a sense of the scope that it's out there. Just marketing and sales, right? So when you guys step out, this is the kind of scope. Here is where you can actually go in and solve problems, right? So how does the industry and market look like? Here is a little Harvard Business Review. Companies using sales were able to increase, and this is in the last 3 to 4 years, they were able to increase their leads by more than 50%, reduce call time by 60 to 70%, and reduce cost by 40 to 60%. Remember, every phone call, every spam call that you get not just irritates you, but it's also cost to that other company. So if you are able to reduce those calls, you are happy because you are not getting spam calls. The company is happy because it is targeting the right prospect, and so it is not a spam call. And in the midst of all this, you're saving time and you're saving money. So what are the drivers based on the current market trends? There is an imminent need for advanced solution, and there's a growing demand for data enrichment. What are the opportunities? We can infuse A and ML capabilities to automate the pre-sales process, and we can increase the use of technographics to identify buying intent and therefore improve targeting. When I say improve targeting, reaching out to the right prospect, somebody who needs you, is not interference, right? When you need water and somebody says, hey, buy my bottle of water, you are like, thank God, right? That is what we aim to achieve, and the opportunity does exist. And what is the opportunity size? The growth predicted by markets is 11.4 year on year, 11.4% year on year. So what does that mean? From a $2 billion industry in 2019, it is expected to touch 13.4 billion by 2024, the next 2 years. Now, after all this, learning right from how does hunger relate to business and how does business function, and how sales and marketing becomes a core component of any business, we come to some real world use cases. How did ML help solve certain problems? So here is case number one. There was a problem for this organization where they wanted help to prioritize their sales funnel. They wanted help in personalizing their messaging. So what do we do? So the first thing we look into is data. And we found that though they had a huge CRM and a lot of data points, they were missing data points. Around 70% of the data was missing, which means for any given record, there was 40 to 60% empty fields, which means most of those data is not usable. Right? I'll give you a very simple example. If you don't have a phone number, you cannot reach out to the person. If you don't have an email of that person or for that business, I cannot send my offers to those businesses, even if they have opted into it. Right? So the first thing we ended up doing is cleaning the CRM. So identified categories that are relevant to them based on the TAM, procured data, of course, from various providers, suppressed data that is not needed. Now, this business was targeting SMBs and it didn't want to reach out to large franchises, national, global brands. So we got that data out and then understood what is the status of the business. Is it remote? Is it not remote? What kind of services they are actually providing to their end customers. So understanding the customer's customer is what we did. And then we went into classifying data. We did segmentation. We then went into building account scoring model. Right? So how did we do that? Let me go a slide back. Recognize and discover significant variables which are correlated to the target variable and build a classification model. This helps us achieve the good bad fit classification and then give it a scoring. Right? Now, how does this work? So the first thing is the problem. The problem is I don't know. I have got, I'm the salesperson and I've got thousands of records with me, prospects with me, I have to call to, right? And I've got 60 minutes in an hour. I normally work for 8 hours a day and I've got a target to achieve. How do I do that? How do I do that efficiently and effectively? You might have heard a lot of these salespeople, right? Who have not achieved targets, not doing good. And, you might have also heard from your own family members, if you don't do anything, you'll end up doing sales. Well, it's not so bad. Most of these things that come up is due to inefficiency. How do we make it efficient? Can I tell the salesperson which 100 you have to call of those thousands? Can I also tell him why should I call him? What are the need signals that I should talk about? Can I tell him that this person is thirsty and he wants water? Will that crack the deal? Of course, it will crack the deal. How do I do that? The first thing we do is get the database cleaned. Get all the required attributes that I need around this particular prospect. And once that is done, what I do is based on my current, let me skip a few slides. Based on my current customer behavior and attributes of my current customers, right? Customers who are already signed up and prospects who refuse to sign up, right? Customers who signed up are good fit. Customers who refuse to sign up based on certain criteria can be picked to define bad fit, right? So we have now these two important identification, good fit, bad fit. So I say, what is the outcome? What do I want to classify them as, good or bad? And then give it a little score. So identify attributes that all go into it. So you look at the right side flow. I source the data, I clean the data, I normalize it. And then of course, you split maybe 70-30, you train and then you test, and then you put that into a loop on real actual data to see if the output is as much as your prediction. And by doing these things, what we figured out is we were able to give them 2x conversion. The conversion immediately became 2x, which means for in the past, if you are making uh, 10 calls and you're able to crack one deal, with this implementation off the bat, you are able to crack 2 deals, which is 100 times more efficiency and effectivity. Suddenly your numbers, your growth has 2x. So if you're running towards the goal for the year 2022, you should be able to achieve it well before your budgeted timeline. Right? And here is a little bit of overview on how the process works. You interact with the organization, your customer. Build a workshop to understand their sales and marketing architecture, the process, the funnel. Identify who they define as a prospect and why it is defined as a prospect. If the definition is lacking in terms of certain attributes, identify and source those attributes. Build scores around some of these attributes. And then when you end up running your model on it, you will have both. The model will tell you predict whether this is a good fit or not, and it will also give you a score. This enables the reps, the sales reps, to up their performance. The organization as a whole, in this case, gave 2x. Now that's an average, right? So top performing sales reps would have done 4x, 5x. There are not so great salespeople who have still struggled, because remember, end of the day, the human component is irreplaceable. The prediction can still be invalidated. Your LG and your rep is still not able to sell the AC because those prospects went and brought the AC from Samsung, right? So the sale happened, but you didn't get it. So this is use case one, where we got into understanding the customer's sales and marketing process and introduced ML so that we can help them prioritize on whom to call and sort of also whom not to call, and also come up with accurate forecasting and comparative targeting so that you can predict when you'll be able to achieve your annual budgets. Case 2, and this is something that you guys will be easily able to maybe relate. So this is a case of online advertising, targeting, retargeting. So look at this case where to evaluate 20 advertising campaigns considering 10 behavioral parameters for 5 different segments. Look at the maths, 20 into 10 into 5, right? A marketer will need about 4 hours with all the tools and application he has, right? And if such analysis is carried out every day, the guy will end up spending half his time assessing the quality of the campaigns. Okay, this is a real life number. Now, when machine learning is used, instead of leaving the whole process to the human, we introduce machine learning. And when that happens, evaluation takes minutes. And the whole output is unlimited. Of course, unlimited can be cause of confusion at times, but the platform will help you sort that out. Especially in online, where in a matter of minutes, the data becomes redundant, it is important that you're able to act at the right point in time. So speed is important. And if you're able to capture it at the right time, your campaigns become a success. Or it can backfire. It can be a big cost component. Right? So with those two use cases, I would like to take you guys through a high level org structure, This is how an org structure would look like. Now, this is the structure for a software company, but it can be anywhere where you have a team of data scientists, data engineers, ML AI experts, right? So you will normally have data sciences, and then you have development here, and then under data sciences you have the data architect, the RDBMS expert, developers, integrators, especially if you are rendering this data onto any kind of a UI. Execution and operations, like I showed in that other flow in the previous slide, you initiate the project, you plan scope and timelines, you get the use case, the user stories, the problem, what are you trying to solve, you build a proof of concept, get into data generation, gathering, validation, interoperability, etc. Privacy, compliance management, etc. should be taken care in the back end, and then you get into your model development and testing. Then you package and deploy it, and then you manage the performance, and then you start monitoring it, get feedback, and improve the outcome. The aim is make the 2x into 3x, 4x, 5x. Of course, it will not be infinite. There will be a point in time where it will be flattening out. But as I said, and as some of these stats showed, there is a lot of scope for all of us to get in and move that 2x to 5x, 6x. So what are the key takeaways of all that you heard? What are the key takeaways? One, this is a little data from Genpact. Look at what they are predicting for the future. So today, what do we do? Create analytic assets, ML and mathematical models, prototypes, and predictive scorings. Beyond, tomorrow, we are looking at developing production-ready scalable AI solutions. Today, we are exploring innovative technologies, and tomorrow, we are looking at delivering business value. Today, we are stuck, most industries, most businesses are stuck with this problem of data management, data governance, the fact that the digital ecosystem or the entire architecture in the back end of the organization, the tools and apps don't talk to each other, and there is a lot of loss of data when two applications talk to each other. Going forward, we are looking at organization-wide cohesive data management. There is no data loss. So when the CRM talks to the marketing automation tool, the marketing automation tool talks to your data analytics tool, Redshift and stuff, there is no data loss. No field gets lost. Everything moves seamlessly from one application to another. So every user at any end of the digital ecosystem gets the same set of data. Decision making is based on the same set of data, so decisions do not conflict. The last component here, they talk about lack of operationalizing foresight and AI integration complexities. Of course, with this batch I'm talking to and a lot of these students I've been talking to, I think that is something we are already gearing up to address. And you guys will be able to prioritize what is high impact, what is low impact, what should be done to streamline the entire operations, essentially to scale. Remember, things that don't have a proposed value and things that have a value but cannot be scaled are all short-lived. So from there, and the last 40 minutes that we spent, what are the key takeaways? The role of machine learning in this area of marketing is to make quick decisions and at the right time. At its core, artificial intelligence is reliant on rich, accurate data. Remember, garbage in, garbage out, right? Without it, the technology is not able to learn efficiently. And speed also is important because in the digital world today, information changes every second. The value of your result depends on the relevance of the data. So I might be a super expert with machine learning, but I'm as good as the data that is fed into me. I'm as competent as the quality of data given to me. And remember, data has this attribute of becoming obsolete. So that's another challenge where there has to be a function that keeps on managing and maintaining the relevance of the data. Data has to be updated. Data has to be changed. Data has to be live and real. And remember, though AI and ML says it is going to reshape, you will have automatic cars, you will have, no spam calls. When you are hungry, there is food on your plate and all those great things, but it cannot function without human interference. That ability, that last mile touch is still dependent on humans. We are aiming to reach a stage where humans are out of the equation, but at least today, to operate at the most optimal level, we need that human interaction. Last few points here: identify and improve the depth of needed data. Identifying is critical and then improving it. A lot of people are not able to identify it. Improve the quality of data and analysis. Remember, the ML enables you to analyze more data in less time, but it has to be done at the right time. Adapt to changes. Critical. The feedback cycle that we keep talking about is where we say we are going to adapt. And at times, the model that you are feeding into might become redundant. Discard, get a new model. Automating the process is also important. It's not just about isolated. Today, ML and the whole ML process is more of a service, right? You get input, you understand, you clean data. There's a project, you execute the project and then deliver. But the true flavor is when the whole thing is automated. Imagine you get an interface where you say, boom, here is the data, you clean it, you update it, get all the inputs from me, deliver, and send all those inputs to thousands of reps across the globe onto their screens in the next few minutes. That's automation. And to a great extent, it's already showing up. Your routine tasks are being taken over by ML. Right? Allocations. Who takes what? What is the efficiency of the rep? What is the strike rate of a rep, a sales rep, right? Closure. If somebody is closing at 5x, most leads will be funneled to those reps, right? And of course, does all the above quickly. So while I end this presentation, the one thing I want to leave you guys with is, it's really interesting. It's really fun to get into machine learning, to build these data models, to see the prediction. And let me also tell you, when you see that in real application and you get those feedbacks like, hey, we got 2x, hey, we got 4x, hey, we saved 40%, we saved 30%. It's an absolute thrill when you realize that the little work you have done has changed, has improved so many things, processes, people experience, engagement. And this is just the beginning. If you understand the use case, if you understand the business case, you've won half the battle. And of course, with the course you're on, with the amount of studies that you'll undergo and learn, the rest 50% should not be a big deal. So with that, all the best, guys. And I haven't heard any questions other than the slide movement. So I'm a little troubled. So you have a few more minutes in your hand? Really not. But then if you have questions, please shoot. I will try and answer them. Karan Singh, Darshan Shetty, do you guys have question? I see raised hands.
Students, if you
Yes,
have
sir.
any questions, please ask.
Sir, I wanted to know the more details about relationship of AI with big data and how it will help big data.
I would put it the other way around. How big data helps AI? So as I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, right?
Yeah.
The whole AI ML revolution has come up because today we are able to manage big data.
Okay.
Right? I remember in my younger days, we were not able to process a huge amount of data. The amount of hardware needed to, just process this was humongous. I mean, it was impossible. Then came the cloud infrastructure. And after that, we came into this scenario where digesting hundreds and millions of data was pretty easy. And that's when we realized that, for ML to run, ML is not new. ML was there since so many years, but it requires huge amount of data. It is data hungry, right? And for the prediction to be accurate, you need not just vertical but also horizontal. When I say vertical, horizontal, I need let's say 50,000 business records to process and predict. But for each business, I need 300 signals. Multiply that. So to processing that amount of data at a point in time was really difficult. But today, because of all the evolution and big data modules like Mongo, Hadoop, etc., you're able to ingest, and then even the algorithms in the back end, whether it is Amazon, it is Azure, whether it is Python, you're able to manage it because of these structures. So they're complementary, and over and above the help that you get with analytics or from the software end per se for software companies, big data today has made it possible to for ML and AI to become sort of mainstream.
Will there be a time when big data will be relying on AI for processing and stuff?
Well, it can, it can become a loop, right? So even today, I need the ability to ingest and then move it to the learning module. And then if you look at it as a loop, it may. I'm not the right person to answer that, but if you ask me, I think yes.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, sir.
What else? Anybody else?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I want to know how does AI or ML come to know about identify the new customer segments or requirements in marketing?
Good question. So let us take a case here where the business is already running, right? And let's say they are targeting a particular vertical. Okay, let's say the vertical is finance. Okay, so I have a solution which is meant for finance, and I keep reaching out to them, right? While reaching out to them, I introduce ML, and to introduce ML, we have to define all the attributes, what goes in, maybe dependent, independent, depending on which model you apply. I do that, and while doing that, it may not be an outcome of ML per se, but let's say if I add an additional layer of ML on it, saying, okay, let's apply KNN which groups these kind of businesses together, I might be able to understand what subset of the finance industry am I actually targeting. And I realized that I'm not actually targeting the entire finance industry. I'm only targeting the payments vertical. So the moment I realize it's the payment vertical, my messaging, my communication, my approach can be fine-tuned, right? So there has been a real case where a subsegment or a few subsegments were identified because of the ML. Because we ran ML over a period of, I think, over a cycle, I think over 3 or 4 cycles, we realized that it is not the parent segment. It was the payments, it was the shopping cart, which was the key end customer. And so we stopped the focus on other verticals, came into these 3 verticals, and of course, your conversions increase, your strike rate increase, and your churn reduces because the value is really met. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Who else? All right. We have run 9 minutes over time. So, Sahana, over to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you so much for delivering such a wonderful session. It was indeed a wonderful session, and we had a lot of takeaway use cases. We got to know some of the use cases. So I really thank you for giving your time and giving such a wonderful session, sir.
No, no,
And
no.
on behalf of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, AIML and Cybersecurity, as well as Futurance Technology, I would like to thank them for organizing this Industry Connect session every Friday. And not but last but not the least, I'd like to thank Dr. Vivek, Head of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, AIML and Cybersecurity, and the team of our faculty members for all the supports and the guidance. And yes, thank you students for your participation for this session.
And let me also take this opportunity, Sahana, to thank all of you guys to calling me in and letting me talk to this batch. I always find it really thrilling to talk to this, upcoming generation of engineers. What with the changes that they have been doing, I've been seeing that over the last so many years. Every batch that comes up with something new, and that takes up a new direction altogether. So I hope that this batch too comes up with such kind of things. Work, study, and of course play as well. All the best for the upcoming semesters.
Yeah, thank you once again, sir, and thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Bye bye.